And if you're going to start changing any area of your life, realize it's going to feel worse before it feels better. There's always rubs before you get the relief. So don't give up in the rub. Keep on going till you feel the relief and until the miracle happens. Change is not for wimps. Hi, friends. It's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me. And today we're talking about change. Now, some people brag about, I have a hard time with changing. I only change when there's a big, big problem. Change is hard for me. And I want to remind you that if you're speaking those words, you're creating that experience, right? But change isn't for the faint-hearted. It's, as my very first spiritual mentor said, transformation and change are not for wimps. Now, at the time when I was in my early 20s, I didn't even know what that meant. I couldn't even fathom the understanding of it. In fact, it was many years later that I recalled that line once again and went, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because see, what we hear about in self-help books and in podcasts and in videos and in life, that if we're going to change, it's going to be beautiful and wonderful and it's great and it's worth it. Now that's true as we begin to walk the path and we start seeing the results. It's true. But what a lot of people leave out, a lot of well-known people leave out, and I think it's very important because I think this is the situation where a lot of people give up or think they're hopeless or think it's not possible, which is why I'm doing this podcast, this particular episode of Someone Gets Me, because change isn't for wimps. It takes a lot of guts and faith and courage. It takes making a decision, which means to cut out all other possibilities. It takes being willing to be so rigorously honest with our inner world, our inner self, and dissecting our belief systems and our thinking to a level that many people in common Western culture are unwilling to do. We live in a culture that is steeped with the idea that a pill will save the day or this one magic bullet will take care of things. And it's simply not true. Now, I work in the world of transformation and change. All people who come to me on some level are seeking change, whether it's in their business, their time management, their personal life, their emotional or mental health, whether they're using substances or not. There is an element of desire for change. I had a family talk to me, a husband and wife, and they had several kids, and they're like, well, we're going to break the family traditions. We're going to break some of that intergenerational stuff that's really not working for us. They didn't realize how hard it was going to be. Now, the good news is they stuck with it, and they're doing great now. But it was hard in the beginning because we don't expect it to get hard. And I always have this vision. I remember when I went to go to Machu Picchu, and it was a magical, amazing experience. And there was a certain hike you could take to the next mountain over. And I cannot remember the name of it. If you've been there, you will remember. And so you have to sign a log to say that you've left on this particular path so that they can make sure you come back, which I thought was really cool. And we're walking, and the next thing we know, we're going down, down, down. Now the mountain's up here, it's way up, but we're going down, down, down. And then we hit a plateau, and then we start climbing. That is how change works. First, our experience after we have the elation because we made the decision and we have a plan and it's ready to go and we're psyched and we've told everybody. Then the reality hits. And so we actually go down, 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 down first. Or you could look at it like this. We have all the plates spinning. We're holding up all the issues in the universe. And then we put our hands down because we finally can relax and we have a solution. And boom, all the mess falls on our lap. In all the years I've worked in substance abuse and people finally are changing their lives and stopping a dreadful disease of addiction that's trying to kill them. And they go, okay, I finally get better physically, but why are there all these problems? I'm like, well, those are the problems that you've been keeping at bay all along. And they're still going to show up for you to work on. Those belief systems, those behaviors, those ways of thinking, those ways of speaking. So if you're really serious about change, you have to have a lot of guts. It's not for wimps. My first mentor, he was right. even when I didn't understand the gravity of the situation. So a lot of people that I work with and that I've known over the decades and, 45 years of doing this work, give up. They say after 60 days or 30 days, I can't do it, or this is too hard, or I don't know, it's not working. Well, they're feeling a little worse in the beginning because they're having to clean up the mess from the parade, so to speak, in order to start making progress that's meaningful. I used to take Bikram yoga classes years and years ago. In fact, I love hot yoga. And at the time, my first time I went, I didn't even know what it was, and then I loved it. And so I would go to this class, and the teacher was amazing, and I would go every single day because part of the challenge was to go every day for 90 days. And I'm like, well, this is kind of weird, but I love it, so I'm going every day and see what the challenge is because I'm gifted. I'm neurodivergent. Give me a challenge. Give me something new. Give me something to do, and I'll do it. Right. Well, what I realized was that 30 days in was the first few days was feeling hard. Then 30 days in, I was doing okay. Then it hit a plummet, like, I don't want to do this. And then I started feeling better coming into 90 days and more in flow. And I realized that there was this real up and down in the first 3 months, which is also the same for people who are withdrawing from substances. There's a lot of up and down in the first 90 days and a little bit beyond that, actually. But one of the things that was interesting was there was this woman in the class, and she was at the time, I don't know how old she was, but she was older than me, probably by 10 or 15 years. And she was very diligently doing the class. And at about day 94, 95, she says, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe it." And of course, I overheard the conversation. She was telling the teacher that she had been an insulin dependent diabetic and it had all these problems, medical problems. And after 90 days, she was off almost all except one of her medicines and was getting ready to get off that other one if she kept going. So her body, her remarkable body, finally was given permission to heal and grow and evolve. And her brain couldn't get in the way because it was a movement and breathing practice, right? And so she was able to bring more health and vitality to her life by having regular, consistent discipline in something that was taking her somewhere great. Now, she only thought it was going to help her flexibility. She didn't know she was going to get all these benefits. She was so surprised. And the teacher said, yes, that often happens. And I'm like, wow, how cool is that? That somebody goes into a situation to change to make their body feel better. And it not only feels better with the bones and muscles, but with the endocrine system and the digestion and her brain health, all of it benefits because everything's connected to everything. And so one of the things that I notice with people when it's time to change and they call me because they want change and they get all excited, and then I see them hit the road, it doesn't feel easy because the old familiar pain wants to take hold. The old familiar way wants to take hold. The old familiar language set or way of thinking or viewpoint wants to keep grabbing on because it doesn't want to die. I call it familiar pain, where we hold on to what's painful, not because we want it, but because it's familiar. So we'll hold on to the old behavior we want to let go of, or the old attitude, or whatever it is, because it's familiar, even though it hurts. Now, that doesn't seem to make sense, but we do it all the time. People do it all the time. They hold on to what hurts because it's familiar, because on some level, they are afraid of what the new or the goal could be, or they're maybe even afraid they can't get it. So I see it in our country here in the United States, and I see it all around the world, and I see it in people, corporations, groups, families. We'll hold on to our ways, even though they hurt us, in order to have some kind of familiarity. Because when you put the system under pressure, your body or a system under pressure, it's going to revert to the most powerful old memory belief system, right? So if we believe that, we have to cut off the end of a ham in order to get it in the oven, then we're going to do that even if the oven's plenty big enough. If we believe certain things and that's what's grabbing us and we're trying to change, we have to look at those beliefs. We have to stare them dead in the eye, shine the light of truth on them and say, does this work for me? And most of the time, the answer is absolutely not. But then we have to be willing to live in that liminal space for a minute so that we can then see the solution. We can see a new way out. And it's seeking that new way out that the person starts out wanting to do, but not accounting for the rough spot that happens right after. That's why change isn't for wimps, because it takes a lot of focus and guts and courage and support. It does everything with diet. I mean, how many times have any of us tried to change our diet for the good, bad, or ugly, right? We try to change it. And some people I know go and they're going to go do it all at once. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to cut out it all and I'm going to only do this. Well, unless it's a dire health situation and that's fueling you, that fear, you probably want to do things in rational steps. You'll be more successful in the long run. Might be a little slower, but you'll be more successful and you won't create a healing crisis. I had a client one time years ago and she wanted to start working out. And so I said, okay, well, start with a plan. And we had a plan and she had a trainer and she's all ready to go, but she like doubled what the trainer said to do. And so about 25 days, 30 days in, she was sick as a dog. I mean, kept getting really physically sick. Her immune system was having a hard time. She couldn't hold food down. She was really feeling emaciated and weak because she was overdoing it, starving herself, hardly drinking water, overdoing it, all to get more results faster. So what happened? She ended up going backwards. She created a healing crisis and had to completely stop, recalibrate, and then reapproach the problem. Now, you probably can relate to this because you've probably done it yourself, where you get all excited to do something and you move too far, too fast. Now, the educators talk about the zone of proximal development, and that's when we pay attention to how far we can grow at each time. And so that we all have a learning curve. We all have a way we can learn. Some of us, it's steeper and faster than others, and other people, it's a little flatter and slower. There's no wrong way, but learn your way. So here are some ways you can change effectively. Oh, these are only some of them. If you really want to learn how to do this, make a get to know you call with me. They're free. I will spend 30 minutes with you, helping you and answering your questions and trying to help you get in the right direction. Because I really believe that if we could successfully create the change we seek in our lives and answer the call in our heart for our heart's desire, all of us would be very, very happy. We'd be a lot happier and fulfilled. And so the first thing we want to do is make a plan and a strategy. Now, it's best if you make this plan and strategy with another person who's trusted by you, who is not related to you, and you're not doing it alone. Now, the reason why we don't use someone related to us is they love us so much, they'll put their own agenda on it unknowingly. So we want somebody outside of our family. They can support us, but the strategy needs to come from somebody outside of you. So I do strategies with my people all day long. Trainers do it, dietitians do it, coaches do it. I do it more as a mentor. So when I'm helping you strategize, I look at your entire life, all 12 major life areas, and how do they interact in order to get you where you want to go. But you got to have a strategy, and you want to have somebody who is outside of your family so that you'll get more objective input. Somebody will ask you discerning questions. When you say, I want to do these 5 things by noon, they might say, really, how's that going to work? Or help me understand how this is going to happen so that you can then see where the holes in your logic are. Then we want to take manageable steps for each one of us. That could be a little tricky and different. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing is manageable for us. It's not all that hard, but it matters that we do something that's manageable. It depends on the goal, right? Then we also want to watch our belief systems, because our belief systems will create challenges. They'll create obstacles. They'll mess things up. They'll have us believing things that aren't true. They'll have us questioning what we're really doing, because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to hold on. They're meant to run the ship. And if we're saying this belief system doesn't serve us anymore today with who I am in this day and age, and we're going to let it go, there's going to be an empty space for a minute, a liminal space for a minute. And then we're going to replace that with something that does serve you for today. So it takes some skill, it takes understanding, and it takes willingness to release that old, because you have to let go of the death grip on the old way in order to receive the life of the new way. You have to realize that it's not going to go as planned. I don't care what you think. It's not going to go as planned. I'm working on a book right now, and it was supposed to be to the layout guy a while ago. And I keep saying, it's going to get done today. It's going to get done today. It's going to get done today. And there's always something that happens. Now, I also believe it all happens right on time, but I also know that we have to still keep doing our work. So I have people outside of me that hold me accountable, that ask me questions, that make sure that what I'm saying I'm going to do is something that's reasonable, and all of those things. And it still takes a little while to make sure that we're doing it. So understand, it never looks the way you think. After all, I have my Different by Design retreat coming up. I scheduled it once, and it was a really tricky time. There was a lot of issues that came up around it. So guess what happened? I ended up having a better, more amazing website built, retreatwithdianne.com, and changed the dates. And now people are coming out of the woodwork for the new date. Imagine that, right? So sometimes things don't go as planned. We have to be willing to pivot. We have to be willing to troubleshoot. We have to be willing to recalibrate along the journey. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. The rewards are great and magnificent. In fact, I'm getting goosebumps. And it's not easy. So if you call me or you call someone else or you make a decision that you want to make a change, understand, in the beginning, it's trickier. In the beginning, it's a little harder. In the beginning, you might have to work through some things that don't feel so good. And it's worth it. It's worth every minute of it. I could go through my whole life story and all the belief systems I've had to undo that were instilled in me way before I could defend myself, or that the society and the world outgrew them. And it was time to put something new in its place. Then there was a belief systems of things told to me that I'm stubby or I'm fat or I'm ugly, and all those things that were never true. But my brain believed them because they were told that when I was young and didn't know how to defend myself. So there's all of these things that we want to look at when it comes to change, because the old will try to grab you. And I imagine it either kind of like a wet blanket. I used to say that to people who were helping me way back when. It's like I'm walking along and this wet, dark blanket gets thrown over me from behind. And then suddenly I'm a mess and I can't see anything. And that doesn't happen anymore because I've gone through the arduous work to heal those old belief systems that were never true. But I believed them. So I kept creating that reality over and over. And you too can change your belief systems. You too can create a different reality. It's not that hard. It takes focus and support and patience and strategy and faith. And it mostly takes a willingness to get honest with ourselves and make the changes. I remember a good friend of mine once years ago, I was on the phone with her talking about something, and she goes, "You just need to surrender." And I'm like, "I've already surrendered," and I was kind of yelling. And she's like, "Well, I'm just getting it that you need to surrender." So that night when I was meditating and I was okay, well, what do I need to surrender? And I'm kind of into my mind, searching my life. And then it hit me later, right as I was getting ready to go to sleep. What I needed to surrender was my perception of my identity. And it didn't come through my cognitive mind. It came through more of an intuition or a feeling or a knowingness that, hold on, what you're surrendering is who you thought you were, because who you really are is much greater than that. And I was looking outside of me for all these little things to surrender. And it was something that was very, very central to my being. And from that day on, I shifted. And then there were some other major shifts like that in my life because of being willing to look deeply. And the last thing we want to do in order to change effectively is to have frequent feedback loops. And so many people miss this. You got to have frequent feedback. It's like if you only know what's in your checking account once a year, you're probably going to make some mistakes along the way. We check it frequently. We check feedback. We want to know, how am I doing? So some people write gratitude journals every day. Some people journal in general. Other people have checklists of what they're doing. I used to have a spreadsheet that said, these are the things I want to do every day. And if I can get 80% of them in a month, I'm good. There's all these different things. But the key is, what's your plan? What's your preferred way to hold yourself accountable and to be able to demonstrate that accountability to your trusted others, right? What is that way? How is it going to work? And so that is so important. Pay attention to those feedback loops, because that is going to really elevate your progress and your happiness and your success. So remember, friends, a change is not for wimps. I'm telling you, it takes a lot to do. And if you're going to start changing any area of your life, realize it's going to feel worse before it feels better. There's always rubs before you get the relief. So don't give up in the rub. Keep on going till you feel the relief and until the miracle happens. As always, you can make a get to know you call with me. I'm here for you to support you in any part of your journey you would like. Thank you for listening to Someone Gets Me. And remember, keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you are a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. Let yourself be that brilliant, beautiful, gifted person that you are. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.